I walked into the living room Christmas morning and froze. Every single gift under the tree had been opened. Wrapping paper lay scattered across the carpet like confetti after a party I wasn't invited to. Nathan's family sat on the couch, smiling, holding their presents. My heart started pounding as I scanned the room for my name on any package. There was nothing. Not one gift with my name on it. Jane, my mother-in-law, looked up at me with that sweet smile she reserved for moments like this. "Oh, Amelia, darling," she said, her voice dripping with false warmth. "I reorganized Christmas this year. I decided you didn't really need presents. You're so independent after all." The room went quiet. Nathan stared at his new watch, refusing to meet my eyes. My face burned with humiliation as Jane's smile widened. "You'll understand when you're a real wife," she added softly. If you're watching this video, please like, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Breakfast was worse. Jane kept up her performance, laughing loudly as she buttered her toast. "Amelia is just so sensitive about everything," she announced to the table. "I can't say anything without her taking offense." Nathan's father, Henry, chuckled uncomfortably. Nathan's sister Mia looked down at her plate. I felt my chest tighten, that familiar pressure building behind my eyes. I refused to cry in front of them. Nathan sat beside me, cutting his pancakes into perfect squares, acting like nothing was happening. "Mom's just joking around," he muttered under his breath. I gripped my coffee mug so hard I thought it might shatter. Jane dabbed her lips with a napkin and smiled at me across the table. "Don't worry, dear. I have a special Christmas surprise planned for later today. Something just for you." The way she said it made my stomach drop. After breakfast, Jane handed me a single red envelope. Everyone watched as I opened it. Inside was a printed document, neatly typed and formatted like a contract. The heading read, "Family Guidelines for Amelia." Below were 12 numbered rules I was expected to follow. Things like always defer to Jane's opinions on household matters, and attend all family gatherings without complaint, and accept criticism graciously as a sign of family love. My hands shook as I read them. I looked up at Nathan, waiting for him to say something, anything. He just shrugged. "She's just trying to help you fit in better," he said quietly. Jane folded her hands in her lap, looking pleased with herself. That's when it hit me. This wasn't some impulsive holiday cruelty. This was planned. Calculated. She had typed this up, printed it, put it in an envelope, and waited for this exact moment. I needed air. I stepped outside onto the back porch, my breath forming clouds in the cold December air. Through the window, I could see them all inside, talking and laughing like nothing was wrong. I pulled out my phone, my fingers numb, and opened my camera app. That's when I heard voices from the side of the house. Jane and Mia were standing near the garden, their backs to me. "You see," Jane was saying. "Humiliating her like that will teach her respect. These modern girls think they can just waltz into a family and change everything. She needs to learn her place." Mia shifted uncomfortably. "Mom, that was pretty harsh." She looked really hurt. Jane waved a dismissive hand. "She'll get over it. They always do." My thumb hit the record button. I captured every single word. Christmas dinner should have been beautiful. The table was covered in food, candles flickering, the whole scene picture perfect. Jane served everyone with exaggerated care. She gave Henry a huge portion of turkey. She piled Nathan's plate high with mashed potatoes. She made sure Mia got extra stuffing. Then she sat down. I stared at the empty space in front of me where a plate should have been. "Jane," Henry said carefully, "I think you forgot Amelia." Jane looked at me with wide, innocent eyes. "Oh my goodness, did I? I'm so sorry, dear. I completely forgot." She made no move to get up. Henry gave an awkward chuckle. Lucas, Nathan's younger brother, clenched his jaw but said nothing. Nathan reached for the gravy boat. The room felt like it was spinning. I stood up, my chair scraping loudly against the floor. I walked out of that house without a word. I grabbed my coat from the hook, pushed through the front door, and kept walking. Behind me, I heard Nathan's voice. "Amelia, wait." His footsteps crunched on the frozen driveway. He caught up to me by my car, breathing hard. "What are you doing? You're ruining Christmas." His face was red, from cold or anger, I couldn't tell. I turned to look at him, really look at him. This man I had married. This man who had just watched his mother humiliate me repeatedly and said nothing. Ruining Christmas? I repeated slowly. He crossed his arms. "You know how Mom is. She doesn't mean anything by it. You're being dramatic." I unlocked my car door. Then I asked him the one question I needed answered. "Did you know she planned this?" Nathan's face changed. Just for a second, something flickered in his eyes. Guilt. What? No, He trailed off. The silence stretched between us like a chasm. He looked away. She might have mentioned wanting to, I don't know, set some boundaries. But I didn't think she'd actually. Too long. He had hesitated too long. The truth settled over me like a blanket of ice. My husband had known. Maybe not every detail, but he had known his mother planned to humiliate me, and he had let it happen. "Get in the car or don't," I said quietly. "But I'm leaving." I drove home alone. Nathan stayed at his parents' house. I sat in our empty living room, staring at our own Christmas tree, and realized something I should have seen months ago. He had chosen her. He would always choose her. I couldn't sleep. At 2 a.m, I sat at our kitchen table with my laptop open. Nathan's phone was connected to our shared iCloud account. I had never looked through his messages before. I had never felt the need. Now I did. I opened the family group chat. The one Nathan had always said was just boring family stuff. The messages loaded. My blood ran cold. There were dozens of texts from the past week. Jane had coordinated everything. She had asked Henry which gifts to remove. She had told Nathan to stay quiet and let me handle this. She had even sent a message to Mia saying, "This will be good for Amelia. She needs to learn humility." Nathan had responded with a thumbs-up emoji. I took screenshots of everything, every single message. My hands were steady now. The next morning, I sent Jane a text message. "Thank you so much for a memorable Christmas. I really appreciate everything you did." I added a smiley face. Then I sent a similar message to Henry and one to Nathan, who was still at his parents' house. "Hope you're having a good time with your family. Take your time coming home." Jane responded immediately. "So glad you understand, dear. This is exactly the attitude I hope to see. You're learning." I stared at her message. She thought she had won. She thought I had been broken, that I would fall in line and follow her ridiculous rules. She had no idea what was coming. I made myself breakfast, organized my screenshots into a folder, and started planning. When you want revenge, you don't strike hot. You strike cold. I opened our financial records. Nathan and I kept everything in a shared spreadsheet because I handled all our bills and accounts. He had always been terrible with money, so I had taken over that responsibility when we got married. As I scrolled through months of transactions, something caught my eye. A series of transfers to Jane's account. $500 here. 1,000 there. Always with vague notes like family loan or helping with repairs. I clicked on the earliest transaction and followed the trail. Over the past 2 years, Nathan had transferred nearly $15,000 to his mother. Money from our joint account. Money I had earned from my job. There was no record of any of it being paid back. I leaned back in my chair, a plan forming in my mind. My phone buzzed. It was Lucas, Nathan's younger brother. "Can we talk?" he had texted. "It's about Mom." We met at a coffee shop the next day. Lucas looked uncomfortable, stirring his coffee without drinking it. "I need to tell you something," he said finally. "What Mom did to you at Christmas. She's done it before." I leaned forward. "What do you mean?" Lucas pulled out his phone and scrolled through old messages. "Every woman who's married into this family gets the same treatment. Nathan's ex-girlfriend Sarah? Mom drove her away. My ex-wife Andrea? Same thing. Mia's husband almost left her over it." He showed me screenshots of messages, old emails, even a handwritten note Jane had sent to Andrea years ago with similar rules. This wasn't about me. This was a pattern. Jane had been sabotaging relationships for years. Lucas sent me everything. Emails where Jane had convinced Henry to uninvite Andrea to Thanksgiving. Text messages where she had spread lies about Sarah to other family members. Even receipts showing Jane had once accidentally ruined Mia's wedding photos by standing in front of the photographer during key moments. The evidence painted a clear picture. Jane needed to be the most important woman in her sons' lives. Any wife, any girlfriend, was a threat to be eliminated or controlled. I spent hours organizing everything into a document. I cross-referenced dates, matched up stories, and built a timeline spanning nearly a decade. What I had wasn't just proof of what she had done to me. It was proof of a systematic pattern of manipulation and abuse. And I was going to use it. Nathan came home 3 days after Christmas. He acted like nothing had happened, kissing me on the cheek and asking what was for dinner. "Actually," I said, stirring pasta sauce, "I was thinking we should host New Year's dinner here this year." Nathan looked surprised. "Really? You want to host my family after?" He trailed off. I smiled at him. After Christmas? Water under the bridge. I think Jane was right. I need to learn to be part of the family. What better way than to host everyone? Nathan looked relieved. "That's great, babe. That's really mature of you." He texted his mother immediately. Jane's response came within seconds. "How wonderful! I'll bring my famous pie. This is exactly what I hoped for." I stirred the sauce and smiled. Jane was walking right into my trap. That night, I sat Nathan down on the couch. "I need to talk to you about New Year's," I said. He muted the TV. "What about it?" I took a deep breath. "Your mother has been cruel to me. You know that. And you've let it happen." Nathan's face hardened. "Here we go again." I held up my hand. "I'm giving you a choice. At dinner, when the truth comes out about what your mother has done, you can either stand with me publicly, or you can lose me privately. Those are your options." He stared at me for a long moment. Then he shook his head. "Amelia, please. Let's just keep the peace. Do we have to make a big thing out of this?" His answer told me everything. I stood up. "Then you've made your choice." I started sending out invitations. Not just to the immediate family, but to extended relatives. Nathan's Aunt Susan, who Jane had a falling out with years ago. Nathan's cousin Peter, who had stopped coming to family events after his wife divorced him. I even invited Andrea, Lucas's ex-wife, and her new husband. When Jane saw the guest list, she called me immediately. "Amelia, dear, this is quite a lot of people." Her voice was tight. "Why are you inviting Andrea? And Susan? Those people aren't really family anymore." I kept my voice light and cheerful. Oh, I just thought it would be nice to bring everyone together. You always talk about the importance of family, Jane. I'm just following your example. Silence on the other end. Well, I suppose that's fine. But I could hear the worry in her voice. New Year's Eve arrived. Our house filled with people, voices, laughter. I had spent days preparing food, decorating, making everything perfect. Jane arrived early, wearing her best dress, carrying her famous coconut cream pie. She surveyed the gathering crowd with barely concealed suspicion. "Quite a turnout," she said to me in the kitchen. I smiled. "Thanks for coming, Jane. Your support means everything." After dinner, I stood up and tapped my glass with a spoon. The room quieted. "I want to make a toast," I said, "to family traditions, to honesty, to showing people who we really are." I pulled out my phone and connected it to our TV. I recorded something on Christmas morning that I think everyone should hear. I pressed play. Jane's voice filled the room. "Humiliating her like that will teach her respect." The room was completely silent. On the TV screen, the audio kept playing. Jane's voice, crystal clear, talking about how she needed to put me in my place. When it finished, I handed out printed packets to everyone at the table. "These are screenshots of the family group chat where Jane coordinated my humiliation. These are the financial records showing $15,000 taken from my and Nathan's joint account. And these," I placed a separate stack in front of Jane, "are messages to other women in this family going back 10 years. Jane's face had gone white. "This is ridiculous," she said, her voice shaking. "This is taken out of context." Henry picked up one of the packets. "Jane," he said slowly, "did you really plan all of this?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. Jane exploded. She shot to her feet, pointing at me with a shaking finger. "You ungrateful, manipulative little witch. I welcomed you into this family. I tried to help you. And this is how you repay me." Her mask had finally cracked. The sweet, concerned mother-in-law was gone. In her place was someone ugly and desperate. "You recorded me without permission. You went through private messages. You invited these people here just to humiliate me." Aunt Susan spoke up quietly. "Jane, I think Amelia is just showing us the truth." Jane whirled on her. "You shut your mouth, Susan. Nobody asked you." The room collectively recoiled. Then Nathan stood up. For one moment, I thought he might actually defend me. I watched him, waiting. He cleared his throat. "Mom," he said slowly. Everyone turned to look at him. Nathan looked at me, then at his mother. "Mom didn't mean any of this the way it sounds," he said. "She was just trying to help Amelia adjust. Maybe her methods were wrong, but her intentions were good." My heart broke into pieces right there at our dining table. He was defending her. Even after everything, even with all the evidence literally printed out in front of everyone, he was choosing her. I reached down and slowly pulled off my wedding ring. The small diamond caught the light. Nathan's eyes went wide. "Amelia, what are you doing?" I placed the ring carefully on the table in front of me. "Making my own choice," I said quietly. Jane tried to smile. "Oh, don't be so dramatic, dear." I turned to her. "I'm not being dramatic, Jane. I'm being clear." I stood up and walked to the kitchen. From the counter, I picked up a small wrapped box with a silver bow. I had wrapped it myself that morning. I returned to the table and placed it directly in front of Jane. "This is for you," I said. "Your gift." Jane looked at the box suspiciously. "What is it?" I gestured for her to open it. She unwrapped it slowly, like it might explode. Inside was a leather-bound folder. She opened it and her face went pale. Inside were copies of every message she had ever sent sabotaging family relationships, every lie she had told, every manipulation documented in chronological order. On the first page, I had written a single sentence in calligraphy: "This is the gift you gave yourself." Jane's hands trembled as she flipped through the pages. The room erupted. Lucas stood up and pointed at his mother. "You did this to Andrea? You're the reason my marriage fell apart." Aunt Susan shook her head in disgust. "I knew you were behind that rumor. I knew it." Peter put his arm around his new wife. "We left because of you." One by one, family members confronted Jane with their own stories of her interference. Mia, who had been silent until now, spoke softly. "Mom, I'm sorry, but Amelia is right. You did this to David too. He almost left me because of you." She turned to me. "I'm so sorry I didn't stand up for you." Henry sat with his head in his hands. "Jane, how could you?" Jane looked around the room, realizing she had lost. She stood up suddenly, knocking her chair backward. "Fine, fine. You all want to gang up on me? I'm leaving." She grabbed her coat and stormed out. After Jane left, the room slowly came back to life. People started talking in low voices, processing everything they had just learned. Nathan sat frozen in his chair, staring at the ring I had left on the table. "Amelia," he said quietly, "can we talk privately?" I shook my head. "No, Nathan. We're done talking." I pulled a folder from beneath my chair and handed it to him. "These are divorce papers. I filed for separation 3 days ago. My lawyer will be in touch." His face went white. You already filed?" "Before tonight." I nodded. "I gave you a chance to choose me. You chose her. I'm not interested in fighting for someone who won't fight for me." Nathan looked around the room desperately, as if someone might help him. But everyone just looked away. Lucas clapped me on the shoulder. "Good for you," he said quietly. The aftermath happened quickly. Jane called Henry every day for a week, demanding he uninvite me from future family events. He refused. When Easter came around, Lucas and Mia told their mother she wasn't welcome unless she apologized to everyone. She refused. So they celebrated without her. Nathan moved back in with his parents. I heard through Mia that he spent most of his time in his childhood bedroom, confused about how everything had fallen apart. Henry eventually filed for separation too. He told Lucas that seeing all of Jane's manipulation laid out like that had opened his eyes to 30 years of her controlling behavior. The $15,000 was repaid to me in full. Jane's control over her family evaporated overnight. She had spent so long making herself the center of everyone's world that when they finally pushed back, she had nothing left. 6 weeks after New Year's, I got a text from an unknown number. I almost deleted it, but something made me open it. It was from Jane. The message was long. She wrote about how she realized she had made mistakes and that she might have been too harsh with me. She said she understood why I was upset and that she hoped we could move past this difficult time. Then, in the last paragraph, she wrote, "But you have to understand, I only did what I did because Nathan is my son and I was protecting him. You came into our family and changed everything. You have to take some responsibility for that." I read it twice. Even in her apology, she was blaming me. I didn't respond. I blocked her number. 1 year later, I celebrated Christmas in my new apartment. Lucas and Mia came over with their families. Andrea and her husband stopped by with wine and stories. My own parents drove in from out of state. We cooked together, laughed together, exchanged small, thoughtful gifts. No one was humiliated. No one was left out. No one had to follow rules or prove they belonged. In the middle of the evening, Mia pulled me aside. What you did changed everything for all of us. We finally saw her for what she was. Thank you. I hugged her. I thought about Jane, alone in her house, still insisting she had done nothing wrong. I thought about Nathan, who had chosen comfort over courage. And I realized the best revenge wasn't cruelty. It was this: freedom, truth, self-respect. Sometimes the best gift you can give someone who tried to break you is never letting them do it again. If this story resonated with you, please let me know in the comments. Share your own experiences and subscribe for more stories.